On the morning Eliza Hart signed her contract with St. Augustine Pediatric Rehabilitation Institute, the first heavy rain of the season fell across the French Quarter. She was 27, freshly graduated from a doctoral program in physical therapy in Boston, and had returned to the South against her own expectations. People in hospitals often said there was no hope. That phrase, no hope, had become a convenient period at the end of too many stories. Eliza hated it. She believed the body often carried hidden doors that required new ways of listening. Naomi Beaumont, 7 years old, had become one of those closed cases. Daughter of Victor Beaumont, a famous heart surgeon, and the hospital's largest donor, she had been in therapy for 3 years. Diagnosed with irreversible spinal injury, she had never walked more than a few seconds with support. That morning, Eliza wheeled a small training frame into the therapy room. Rainwater still clung to her coat. "Naomi, shall we try balance again?" Naomi did not nod or shake her head. She placed her tiny hands on the frame, counting silently, the way therapists had taught her, 1, 2, 3. Her left foot trembled. Her right foot remained still like a locked anchor. Eliza leaned close. Slowly. "I am here." The door opened. Dr. Halverson, head of neurorehabilitation, walked in. Behind him came Victor Beaumont in his dark suit, untouched by rain. "Progress?" Halverson asked. "She is responding to auditory rhythm. She focused better with a metronome," Eliza said carefully. Halverson frowned. "A metronome sounds like a distraction." "She reacts to rhythm," Victor muttered, looking at a monitor. "But we need data, not games." Eliza swallowed her protest. After they left, Eliza stood at the window. Rain had slowed. Across Chartres Street, under the awning of a closed shop, a young black girl sat with a worn snare drum on her knees. Her fingers tapped lightly, forming a rhythm that seemed to echo Naomi's shaky steps. The girl looked up and caught Eliza watching. She tapped the drum again, then mouthed words silently. "Let me try." Eliza crossed the hall and stepped under the awning. "You said let me try." The girl nodded. She had sharp eyes and a voice husky from street performances. "My name is Zuri. I have watched the girl in the window for weeks. She has rhythm in her feet, but she has no rhythm in her head. That is why she cannot walk." "Where did you learn this, Mo?" Eliza asked. "My grandmother. She was a neighborhood healer. She taught that rhythm can bring back lost movements. When kids could not breathe after the hurricane, she tapped until their breath found its beat. When old men forgot how to walk, she tapped until their feet remembered." Eliza hesitated. "We have strict rules about outsiders." "I know," Zuri interrupted, calm. "I do not need to come in. Open the window. Let her hear. If it does not work, I will leave." That afternoon, Eliza pulled the curtain slightly aside. Zuri sat across the street, tapping her drum. Inside, Naomi fixed her eyes on the gap in the curtain. Her left foot moved, then the right. Eliza guided her hips lightly. Naomi rose for 14 seconds, her longest ever. Janet, a senior nurse, gasped. The door banged open. Halverson stormed in with Victor behind him. "What is going on here?" Halverson demanded. "Kinetic auditory stimulation," Eliza answered firmly. Victor stared at his daughter. "She is standing." Halverson yanked the curtain shut. He saw Zuri outside holding the drum. For an instant his expression cracked. Then he barked, "Stop this immediately. One more violation and you are suspended." Naomi sat down, but her lips moved, forming silent words, "Drum friend." That night, Eliza lay awake in her small apartment near the tram line. She replayed the image of Naomi standing, and she replayed the rhythm that had made it happen. The next evening, Zuri waited under the same awning. She handed Eliza a small flash drive. My grandmother recorded her methods before she died. She said rhythm was not superstition. It was another kind of language. Eliza plugged it into her laptop in the staff room. A cracked voice began. A boy lost his left knee. Do not laugh. His knee forgot itself because people made him march to another count. Give him a return beat, and his knee will come home. The files mixed poetry with instruction. Eliza saw clear parallels with advanced motor cueing techniques she had studied only written in metaphors. She reopened Naomi's old medical file. The first MRI had a technician note, motion artifacts present, recommend repeat scan. But no second scan was done. Later reports repeated the first conclusion. Eliza texted Janet, "Do you remember the first scan?" Naomi was terrified. We could not sedate her. Dr. Halverson said the images were enough. Enough, or enough to close a door. Eliza printed the MRI notes and slipped them into a folder with Zuri's files. The following morning, Eliza placed the folder on the conference table. We should repeat Naomi's MRI, she said. The first scan was unreliable, and the child responds to rhythm-based cueing. It does not match spinal transection. It resembles a motor integration disorder. Halverson snorted. Are you suggesting you can out-diagnose us with street music? I am suggesting we may have misdiagnosed her, Eliza answered. Victor looked up sharply. If she was misdiagnosed, what then? Then she has a treatable condition, Eliza said. Halverson slammed the folder shut. Enough. If you pursue this again, you are done here. Eliza stood her ground. If you do not approve another scan, I will file a report with the ethics board. It will include the technician's note that was ignored. The room froze. Victor's face darkened. Halverson glared, but his hand trembled slightly. Later that day, Victor signed the approval for a new MRI. Inside the scanner, Naomi breathed with difficulty. Outside in the hallway, Zuri tapped softly, bum, ta, bum, ta. Follow the beat with your breath, Eliza whispered through the headset. In, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. The images came out clear. Structures of the spinal cord appeared normal. There was no evidence of irreversible injury. The report concluded, consider functional motor integration disorder. Victor held the images with both hands, unable to speak. Eliza exhaled, her chest tight with relief. They moved Naomi to the courtyard beneath the magnolia tree. Zuri tapped again. Naomi rose. 1 step. Another. Then 3. Victor covered his mouth with both hands. Janet cried. Halverson stood in silence, pale. Naomi laughed, a bright sound no one in the hospital had ever heard from her. Eliza guided gently. Do not carry her. Let her correct herself. Zuri shifted her rhythm whenever Naomi stumbled, inserting half beats like stepping stones. Naomi walked 5 steps before collapsing into Eliza's arms, smiling wide. Victor whispered, How do I explain this? Eliza said, It is not magic. It is motor memory unlocked by rhythm. Zuri can hear signals before any machine does. Halverson turned away. In the next board meeting, Eliza placed the MRI results on the table. Naomi was never beyond hope, she said. She was misdiagnosed. We must admit this, revise her care plan and review similar cases. The hospital lawyer groaned. Do you know what this means legally? It means Naomi has a future, Eliza replied. Victor nodded, still shaken. We correct this, now. Halverson sat rigid. Finally he muttered, Yes, it was my error. Too many cases. Too much pressure. I chose to believe what was convenient. He rose, shoulders slumped. I will resign. But before I go, I want to say, I do not hate the rhythm. I hate myself for not hearing it sooner. Weeks later, Naomi joined a small brass rehearsal on Chartres Street. Musicians played. Zuri tapped. Naomi walked across the cobblestones, then laughed and danced clumsily. Crowds clapped. Victor wiped his face with both hands, unable to hide tears. Afterward, Naomi whispered to Eliza, I want to walk to the drum. You will, Eliza said. One evening, Zuri told Eliza, 10 years ago, my mother died on an operating table here. The surgeon was Victor Beaumont. Eliza gasped. He did everything he could, Zuri said calmly. After the hurricane, there was no blood, no power. He came to the funeral and left an envelope of money. I threw it away. My grandmother picked it up and said, This is his rhythm of kindness. Do not waste it. I never hated him, but I knew he carried a rhythm he had lost. When I saw Naomi, I thought maybe her rhythm would give him back his own. Eliza sat in silence. She finally understood the depth in Zuri's gaze when she looked at Victor. 1 year later, the Pulse House opened in a renovated brick building by the Mississippi River. Its sign read, Every miracle begins when someone refuses to give up on a child. Zuri trained volunteers to listen for rhythms hidden in everyday life, spoons hitting pots, wheels turning footsteps on wooden floors. Naomi, now walking steadily, ran across the yard and asked Eliza to watch her jump. Victor tapped his fingers on his leg, learning rhythm like a beginner. Eliza felt her heart full. She thought of the girl she had been in Boston, eager to prove herself with strict science. She never imagined she would write treatment plans, including words like breathe, remember, smell, listen. But perhaps the best science had always begun outside the usual frame, where a girl with a drum stood in the rain and said, Let me try. 2 years later, the Pulse House collected a library of home rhythms. Families donated recordings: an Italian grandmother stirring sauce, a Cajun uncle stomping on a bar floor, a street vendor calling out fruit. Each sound carried memory. Children responded. Some walked when they heard the rhythm of frying vegetables. Others moved when they heard a basketball bounce. Eliza cataloged the sounds with careful notes. She knew science needed data, but she also knew miracles often arrived disguised as rhythms of ordinary life. Naomi painted a sign, a heart with a drum inside and small footsteps walking toward it. She gave it to Eliza. This is my home, she said. Eliza hugged her. Yes, your home is rhythm. At Amara Jones's funeral, Zuri's grandmother, the mourners marched with music. Zuri led the rhythm, shifting from sorrowful to joyful. Naomi asked, Where is she going? To a larger rhythm, Eliza answered. Zuri placed her hand on her drum. Grandmother, I found a place for your rhythm. The wind rustled the magnolia leaves. It sounded like soft tapping. One evening, a mother approached Eliza with a sleeping child. People told me not to believe in miracles. I do not. But I believe you because you listened to my son. Eliza smiled. I have no special gift. I have teammates who can drum, and I have this city. The mother whispered, My son only walks when he hears the sound of a spoon on a pot. Then we will make a very long meal together, Eliza said. Late at night, Eliza sat on the steps, tapping her fingers softly. Zuri appeared, leaning in the doorway. You missed the second beat, Zuri said. I know, Eliza smiled. I was waiting for you to fix it. Zuri sat beside her and added her own taps. Not fixing, listening, finding the beat in between. Together they tapped. Inside, Naomi slept with her bicycle leaning against the wall. The wooden plaque shone in the hall light. Here we believe every miracle begins when someone refuses to give up on a child. Eliza touched the words and whispered, For every woman who was ever told to stop dreaming, dreaming has a rhythm. And in this city, rhythm is real.